It's day 17 of your NoFap streak. This is it. You're finally gonna make it out of the trap. Oh no, what's that? Oranges! They came out of nowhere! Willpower! Activate! I can do this. I have to fight it. There's just so many of it. I can't take this anymore. It's just too many. It's overwhelming. No! For like 4 years I tried doing NoFap and it genuinely just sucked. Like I didn't make any progress. I'd maybe be on a streak for a couple of days, maybe a couple of weeks, but I would just keep falling back. And this isn't what I wanted. I didn't want to be free for a couple of weeks. I wanted to permanently get rid of this addiction. I just wanted to get free from it and move on with my life and do other things. But it never worked out. And I watched dozens of YouTube videos about how to do NoFap and the ultimate strategies and take cold showers and meditate and all these things, but it never seemed to work. They say the definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over again and to expect to get a different result. I've come to the conclusion that NoFap doesn't really work. The strategy that's behind it is inherently flawed. The people who actually get free from porn addiction don't get free because of NoFap, but rather in spite of it. So there's obviously many variations to what the strategy is, but there's kind of 3 principles that I see throughout all of them. The first principle is to avoid triggers. So figure out in what situations you relapse and just avoid those situations. Okay, I mean, sounds like a decent plan. Secondly, you need to have a very strong reason for doing it. You need to think of all of the benefits and think about how this is going to improve your life. And then thirdly, you need to make resistance. You need to make it difficult for you to relapse. So like installing a porn blocker or putting your phone in a safe. And all of that on the surface sounds like pretty decent advice. But when you actually start to dissect the strategy, you realize that it falls apart pretty quickly. Okay, so let's dissect the strategy and let me show you what's wrong with it. So, they say you have to avoid triggers. What does that mean? That means you need to avoid the situations that causes you to relapse. Okay, great. Okay, but really think about what does that mean. That means that, let's say you get triggered when you're alone, when you're stressed, or when you're bored. That means, okay, you should never be stressed, you should never be bored, and you should never be lonely. Because whenever you get into those situations, your brain is going to respond by relapsing. But you need to understand that every action that you take is there to serve you in one way or another. That means that your brain thinks that if I am stressed and I relapse, that is going to somehow improve my situation. Your brain thinks that that action serves you, okay? But now, instead of getting rid of that false belief, you instead just say, okay, just get rid of the situation that causes me to take that action. You're not actually addressing the problem. You're not addressing the addiction. You're just trying to hide away from it. You're just trying to walk around it, avoiding situations that causes you to initialize it. Okay, and then they say you need to have a very strong reason for doing it. Okay, I mean, doesn't sound bad on the surface. But what does it imply? It implies that you're giving something up. You're creating a sacrifice. So now you have to look at, okay, the benefits of fapping is, let's say, this much. And now I need to generate and think of other benefits that are more than this, so that it kind of cancels out and I will not do it instead. So you say, okay, I'm going to get more focus, I'm going to get more clarity, I'm not going to get brain fog, I'm going to feel more confident, I'm going to have higher testosterone. But instead of thinking about that, just ask yourself, what are the benefits of doing it? Because think about it, if there aren't any benefits to doing it, to like fapping, then you just automatically stop doing it. You wouldn't have to counter it with some other benefits of not doing it. You just automatically stop. So while everybody else is focusing on what are the benefits of stopping, just think of what are the benefits of doing it. Well, the truth is there aren't any. Now, there are 4 lies that you might believe that it gives you a benefit. You might think it relaxes you, it relieves stress, it relieves boredom, and you enjoy it. But all 4 of those are lies. Okay, so going over these 4 things, these 4 lies, is going to take like quite a while to properly explain it and for you to genuinely change your beliefs. But I'll just quickly go over it to explain it, and in the future I'll have a more in-depth guide on it. Okay, so first of all, boredom. It doesn't relieve boredom. You need to understand that when you take an action that gives you a lot of dopamine, okay, your dopamine spikes and then your baseline goes down. Which means that after you did the activity, you're going to feel even more bored than before. While you do it, you're going to be feeling amazing, but then afterwards you feel even worse. So in the long term, you're going to make yourself more bored. Secondly, it also doesn't actually relax you. That is a fallacy. You are very stressed before you do it, okay? And then you do it, and then you feel relaxed afterwards. But the truth is, if you never had the desire to do it, and you were just completely free from the addiction, you wouldn't feel that stress in the first place. You can kind of think of it like a cigarette analogy. The smoker is feeling super stressed, okay? So he goes outside and he puffs, and then he feels relaxed. Okay, but he wouldn't have felt that stress in the first place if he wasn't addicted to cigarettes. So he feels this very high level of stress, okay, and then he smokes and it releases that stress. But his stress levels wouldn't have been that high in the first place if he just didn't smoke. Now the third thing is focus. Like, for some reason your brain thinks that when you're focusing and you're frustrated and you're trying to like do school or something and you're not making progress, then you automatically want to go do the deed. Like, how is that even supposed to increase your focus? Like, that's just stupid. It won't. It will only drain your brain of dopamine and make it very difficult to get anything done afterwards. Lastly, you think you enjoy it. Well, this one is a little more difficult to really explain, and it took me quite a while to understand this. Alright, so I think the best way to explain it is kind of with the cigarette analogy again. So imagine a smoker. He's sitting there feeling super irritated and uncomfortable because he can't have his nicotine. Okay, as long as he doesn't have his cigarettes, he feels this constant urge and desire for it, and it feels so uncomfortable. And then when he can finally get up and go take a puff, he feels so good. It feels so pleasurable. But what you need to realize is he's not actually enjoying the smoking itself. He's enjoying being able to release that discomfort of wanting to smoke. Another analogy they use is, it's like putting on very tight shoes just for the comfort of being able to take them off. Like, just how stupid is that? You're putting on super tight shoes so you feel constant discomfort just for the pleasure of being able to take the shoes off and to feel the relief as you can finally spread your toes and you're no longer being crushed in that shoe. And porn addiction is really just the same thing. You don't actually enjoy it. You just enjoy the relieving of those withdrawal pangs, that urge to do it and not being able to do it. Now, so how are you actually supposed to quit porn and to quit fapping and this addiction as a whole? Well, you need to realize that there are 2 components. There is the neurological addiction, which causes you to want to do the thing. And then there's brainwashing, false beliefs that you have about this thing that keeps you going back to it. Because you believe that this thing somehow serves you. It doesn't. It's a complete fallacy. But as long as you believe that it serves you, you will continue to do it. You believe that it relieves your stress, or that it makes you feel good, or that you enjoy it, or something like that. And as long as you believe those lies, you will continue to facilitate this addiction. Now, everybody in NoFap focuses on the neurological addiction. So there's this, like, your brain has these addictive pathways that's been created by doing this thing over and over again, that prompts you to take the action and to go fap and watch porn when you get into these triggering situations. So everybody says, okay, avoid these triggering situations and make it difficult to watch porn, like work against your brain. But you need to understand that that neurological addiction that gives you the desire and the urges to do it is not a problem. Like, you can get rid of it in literally 3 weeks. In 3 weeks of abstinence, that addictive pathways will all deteriorate and they'll never come back. But the problem is the brainwashing. You first need to get rid of all of the false beliefs that you have about the thing. Then you'll just automatically stop because you'll realize there's no reason to do this. Like, I don't want it. There's no benefit to it. And once you did that, the addiction will automatically deteriorate and you'll be free. And so this entire method is based on a book called The Easy Peasy Method. It's a really good book. I'll put it in the description if you want to read it. But I'm also going to create like a full guide on how to quit porn here on YouTube. It's probably going to be like 4 hours long. I'm going to base it off the Easy Peasy Method, but I'm going to just make it better. So the Easy Peasy Method is kind of written in general for everybody, no matter if you're a teenager or a 6-year-old dude. And I'm going to create a method that's like specifically meant for like young guys in self-improvement, kind of like the Hamza audience type of guide. So if you want to see that, just subscribe, stick around for it, and I'll see you later. Peace.